So, hello everyone, good evening to all. Just confirm me once that, sir, my voice is audible and this PDF file is visible to you. Okay, sir, thank you for your response in the chat box. And today we'll discuss on a very important topic, on a very important subject in a very unique and innovative way. That means today, whatever we learn, we'll try to learn in a very specific way. Okay, so, sir, I think you all have joined the sessions from me earlier. Now it's something new. We'll discuss something new in this particular course, in this particular session. Okay. So, sir, how are you? Just confirm me once in the chat box because I require your comments in the chat box so that we can start our discussion with a lot of energy and we'll discuss the things in a very great way. Thank you, sir, for your response in the chat box and thank you for registering to this specific course that is GST, chart based GST. Sir, it is quite difficult to learn the GST from the bare act because there may be chances of certain complex provisions. So we just want to learn it in something interesting way. We'll just want certain examples. We'll just want certain practical cases. So we have designed these specific type of charts for you, and these charts will cover the complete GST law. The CGST law and the SIGST law, complete things will be covered through these specific types of chart. Sir, if it is possible to you and if you have bought this book, Simplify GST, the Memory Chart Guide, and if this book is with you, in that case, this is my request to you. Just open this book in front of you. And if this book is not with you, in that case, also it is completely okay. Everything will be there in your brain. Okay. So if book is there, it's great. If no book is there, in that case, also this is completely okay. If possible, then just try to do one thing just keep one paper and copy and pen with you so that if you found any specific or important point you can make note of that. Sir, my voice is audible and everything is fine. I think JSG, there is certain issue with at your end only. Okay, sir, thank you, Sureshji. Now we cover the content in a very simplified way. If you have any question, any query, any doubt, in that case you are free to raise the same in the chat box is there. Okay, the mode of communication will be Hindi and English language both. Will try to cover the maximum amount of content in English language. There may be certain example which will be in Hindi, will convert the same into English for you. Sir, you all have attended the memory techniques session course, also the 5 day series, how it was. And I request those who have joined this course, just be there till the last moment of the course because each and every section which we are going to discuss is very important in our day to day life. Now, the question is that, sir, I am handling the GST practices, I am handling the compliances. So I just need to know the provision of law in a practical way. Okay, that is what is the purpose. मुझे नहीं मतलब है various definitions which is there in law. I just want to know the practical implication of the definitions, practical implication of the provision of law, practical implications of the sections. When I will file my GST return, I just need to use each and every sections of GST law while filing the returns, while handling the compliances, while handling the litigations. But sir, it should be interesting. So for that purpose, we have designed these specific charts for you, and in these charts, through these charts, we'll cover the complete CGST Act and IGST Act. Today is the day one. Tomorrow we have day two. Okay, in these 2 days, we'll cover the same. Okay. So I just require your support from your side. Whenever I will ask, sir, this concept is okay for you, just comment me, yes, this concept is okay. Or if you have any query, any question, any doubt, you are free to raise the same in the chat box. Also on YouTube, if you have any question, you can also ask in the chat box. Now, let's start our discussion from section number 1. Sir, in this session I am not going to discuss the memory techniques. Okay, I am basically discuss the provision of law of that particular section and the practical implication of that particular section. That is what is the coverage of this course. Now, in this course, we'll cover the books only. This book, that is Simplify GST, the Memory Chart Guide. Sir, you all have, those who have bought this book have received this book. I think you all have received the books, those who have bought this particular book. Okay, and today when we'll discuss the things, then this is my assurance to you that it will be very helpful book for all of you. Okay, because you can carry it easily at your departmental visits, in your day-to-day practices, in your offices. So let's start our discussion from section number 1. This section number 1 is short title, extent and commencement. That means through this particular section, government is saying that this GST law will be applicable to whole of India. Through this section, government is saying that this GST law is applicable whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. That means if there will be a sales, if there will be a supply, if there will be a purchase, in that case GST will be leviable, and the same will be leviable at Jammu and Kashmir as well. Okay. Sir, हम हर एक सेक्शन को लेंगे, विल कवर ईच एंड एवरी सेक्शन एंड विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द प्रैक्टिकल क्रक्स ऑफ दैट सेक्शन. मैं बहुत डिटेल में उस सेक्शन में बात नहीं करूंगा. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डिस्कस दैट पर्टिकुलर सेक्शन इन अ वेरी डिटेल्ड वे, but we'll discuss the practical implication. Just for an example, section number 1 is for the applicability of GST whole of India. If there will be a supply, in that case, yes, GST will be applicable, and the same will be through section number 1, because this section is saying that yes, this GST law will be applicable to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, परेशान मत होना. Certain sections are theoretical sections, so we'll cover in a theoretical way. Then we have a lot of practical sections as well. Okay, now next section, as section number 2 is related to definitions only, various definitions which is there in law. So I have not covered that section in this particular course and book. Section number 3, section number 3 is related to officers under GST. Sir, try to understand, when government is going to implement this GST law whole of India, and government is saying that whenever there will be a supply, a tax called GST will be applicable. For applicability of GST, there is requirement to file multiple returns. Sir, just one request from my side. Just keep one thing in your mind, that you are taking this session in 2017. Okay, because I just want to clear these concepts from 2017 itself, जब GST आया था. There are certain sections I will cover in a very basic way, and there is one concept in my mind that we all are learning this GST law first time, so that it will be very helpful for all of us. Now, section number 3, when government is saying that yes, GST will be applicable, various forms are there, GST in common portal is there, that taxpayer has to file the returns, handle the compliances. In that case, sir, to check the compliances, to check the genuineness of the transactions, to verify the books of accounts, there is requirement of certain officers. From that perspective, government has decided one hierarchy of the officers. Okay, because when the taxpayer is going to file the return, handle the compliances, in that case, there should be one officer who is going to check the returns. There may be certain officers who are going for the physical verification. There may be certain officers who are going to check the compliances of the taxpayer. There may be certain officers who are going to authorize others officers for the genuineness and verification perspective. There may be certain specific officers, those who will handle the search, seizure and the confiscation related activities. There may be certain officers who are going to take care of the complete management. That is what is called as hierarchy. Sir, in this session, in this course, if you will join it for 2 days, then you will know the logic of each and every section. Because when I will know the logic that why this provision is there in law, in that case, I can easily implement the same in my day-to-day practices. I think you all are agree with me. Am I right, sir? So for handling this complete hierarchy, they have designed certain posts. You can say they have decided certain posts. Principal Chief Commissioner of Central Tax and Principal Journal of Central Tax, higher authority who is going to manage the things. Chief Commissioner, Principal Commissioner, Commissioner, Additional Commissioner, Joint Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner, or any other class of officers. In case of any other class of officers, they have covered the inspector, the superintendent. These class of officers are covered in any other class of officers. Now, sir, I am only handling the GST compliances or filing the returns. Why there is requirement to know this hierarchy? The purpose or the perspective is that, sir, yes, you are handling the compliances or returns only. But whenever there will be appeal, whenever there will be a litigation, you should know that to whom I need to approach. Who is the right or who is the correct or who is the appropriate authority I have to connect with. So for that purpose, we just need to know these officers so that we can get the idea that yes, in this case I need to approach to the commissioner, I need to approach to the joint commissioner, deputy commissioner, or whenever there will be an inspection, search, seizure. We all know that joint commissioner has power for the search, seizure and inspection. If deputy commissioner is coming with us for the search, seizure, inspection, we may argue that sir, you are a deputy commissioner and this is the power in the hand of joint commissioner. Hence, we just need to know various officers under this GST law, section number 3. Hence, government has introduced this section for the introduction of the various authorities or officers under GST. Now, sir, next section. सेक्शन नंबर 4 अभी हम लोग डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे हैं. We'll discuss in our tomorrow's session. Now we'll discuss section number 5. Anand sir, there is logic behind this pad. Whenever you will get a recording of our 14th video on the memory techniques, you will get the same. And very soon by this coming Saturday, you will get that video as well. So in that we have covered the memory techniques. So you will get the idea BED or BAD. Is that okay, sir? Now, section number 5. Sir, suppose government has decided all these type of officers, assistant commissioner, joint commissioner, additional commissioner, deputy commissioner, or government said that these are the officers which is there in GST. But if government will not give any power to these officers, then there will be no use of these officers. We all are going to salute the GST officers. Why? Because they have the powers. So this section number 5 is going to provide the powers of the GST commissioners or GST officers which is there. And in this section, government has prescribed the various powers that the officer can issue the summon, the officer can issue the notice, the officer can go for the physical verification, or the officer can assign the powers to the others. Hence, this specific section is there. So through section number 1, they have implemented the GST. Section number 3, they have decided various officers who is going to check the genuineness and verification. Then section number 5, they have provided the powers of the authorities. Now, section number 6, sir, when government has introduced this GST law or given the powers to the officers or appointed the officers, in such a scenario, this is but obvious that officers are going to initiate certain proceedings. Am I right? Officers are going to issue the notices related to audit, scrutiny, assessment. So, government is going to decide the authorization of officers through this section number 6. Otherwise, if government is not going to decide the authorization, there may be a conflict between the powers and conflict between the proceedings. Hence, they have said that if the jurisdiction, that means government has decided the jurisdiction of the taxpayer, so that the proceedings can be easily conducted or easily concluded कि भैया तेरा ऑफिसर ये मिस्टर एक्स है, तेरा ऑफिसर ये मिस्टर वाई है. So government has divided two jurisdictions, central jurisdiction, state jurisdiction. Certain files they have transferred to central jurisdiction, certain files they have transferred to state jurisdiction. Now, just try to understand. Suppose Mr. X, the jurisdiction of the Mr. X is under state jurisdiction. But suppose the Central Tax Authority has initiated the proceedings, in that case, whether they can do so or not. So through this section number 6, government has given the power, yes. If the jurisdiction with state authorities, but the same has been before the central, in that case the central authority can initiate the proceedings. But suppose in a particular case in which the state tax authority has already concluded the proceedings for the financial year, in that case central tax authority cannot initiate the proceedings because the authority has already concluded. Conclusively, through this section number 6, government said that, sir, if the proceedings has already been conducted by one authority, then the other authority cannot initiate the proceedings. That is what is the purpose of this section number 6. Okay, sir. Sir, just comment me once. Are you enjoying these logics? Are okay for you? Although abhi tak humne sirf we have covered only 3 to 4 logics of the sections, but are you getting the points, the logics? I think this will be unique. In sir, this book, that is Simplified GST, the memory chart guy, is the India's first book which is completely based on charts. And today, this course is also India's first course in which we'll discuss the logics of each and every section. So thank you all for your support, because due to your support, I am getting the powers for these type of innovation and new things. Now, section number 7. Sir, government said that yes, GST will be applicable whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. For that purpose, they have also appointed the officers, they have assigned the powers, they have also decided the authorization of powers. But now, sir, yes, GST will be applicable to whole of India. But when this GST will be applicable, or when the GST will be charged, that is what is the most important question. When we need to impose the GST. So for that purpose, government introduced this section number 7 and said that yes, GST will be applicable whenever there will be a supply. So they have decided one event that is called as supply, and government said that whenever there will be a supply, the GST will be applicable. Now, merely saying that whenever there will be a supply, GST will be applicable, then it is not so good. We need to provide the definition that when a particular transaction or activity will be treated as supply. So for that purpose, they have given the section number 7. Supply includes sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, disposal, agreed to be disposal. That means government has decided certain transactions or activities that yes, these will be treated as supply. So whenever your client is coming to you for the planning related to GST, in that case, you have to check the various transactions which is there in the financial statement or in the complete structure of the business, so that you can easily decide that yes, it is a sales, exchange, barter, transfer, lease. Then you can say that yes, this is supply or not. And that supply should be for a consideration or in the course or furtherance of business. Suppose if a particular person is going to sell something in personal course of business, in that case no GST will be applicable. That means that will not be treated as supply. But there are two important ingredients. One is consideration, another is in the course or furtherance of business. Only when the GST will be applicable. Now, one important point is there. For a consideration, suppose there is no consideration, in that case, whether the same will be treated as supply or not. So for that purpose, government has qualify or quantify certain specific things or certain specific transactions. If there will be no consideration in these type of scenarios, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. The first, disposal or transfer of business assets. If someone is going to dispose of the business assets and saying that I have not received a consideration, so GST will be applicable. But government has included it in schedule number 1 and said that yes, if you are doing this type of activity without consideration, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. And government said if there will be a transfer between the distinct person and related party, that means in between the branch and head office, if there will be any transaction, in that case, yes, the same will be treated as supply. Otherwise, every head office is going to transfer something to the branch and saying that I have transferred without any consideration. So no GST. Hence, government has included it in schedule number 1 that if there will be a transaction between the branch and head office, the same will be liable for GST. The same will be included in the definition of supply. Whenever we are analyzing the financial statement, we should check there is any branch, any transaction between head office and branch. Then we need to ask the question related to the GST. Transfer between principal and agent. We all know there is a structure in which the principal is going to appoint multiple agents and agents are going to sell the products on behalf of principal. And suppose if principal is saying that sir, I have transferred the goods to the agent without any consideration, so no GST will be charged. But government has included it in schedule number 1 that whenever there will be a transaction between principal and agent, same will be treated as supply. Import of services from any associate concerned, in that case also the same will be treated as supply. Now, one important thing, through this section number 7, they have only given the definition that it will be included or it will be treated as supply. Now, what will be the rate of GST, time of supply, place of supply? These things will be covered in different sections. Now, government is just preparing the base. Okay, this is the base. In the course or furtherance of business, second condition. But if suppose if there is any import of service for a consideration, not in the course or furtherance of business. I am a trainer. I am providing the GST training classes and the consultancy services, or there is requirement of any technical thing for my personal purposes. I imported the same from Germany. In such a scenario, it will be an import of service in the course or furtherance of business? No, because this is just a technical thing and I have paid the consideration. So the same will be treated as supply. So this is an exception to this specific thing. So yes, for activity or transaction to be treated as supply, there is requirement of a consideration plus in the course or furtherance of business. But for this consideration term, there are 4 exceptions. For this in the course or furtherance of business, there is also one exception. Also, government said that if any services provided by any club, society, association to the members, then also the same will be treated as supply. If they're charging the membership fees, if they're charging the maintenance fees, yes, GST will be applicable. So this section number 7 is very important section from the applicability of GST perspective. Now, sir, government is saying that yes, you have decided that this activity or transaction is to be treated as supply because this is in the course or furtherance of business for a consideration. Now, question is that whether the same will be treated as supply of goods or supply of services. So for that purpose, there is one golden principle. Whenever there will be a title transfer, the same will be treated as supply of goods. Or whenever there will be a right to use transfer, the same will be treated as supply of services. I have a building, I have given it on rent to Mr. X. In such a scenario, I have just transferred the right to use that particular building. So it will be treated as supply of services. But suppose I have a building and I have given that building to Mr. X and signed the sale agreement. In that case, I have transferred the title. So the same will be treated as supply of goods. There are various parameters, various examples are there, but this is the key to determine supply of goods and supply of services. And this is the most important fact we need to know. Because if we'll determine a particular thing as a supply of goods or supply of services, then only we can decide the HS and SSC code, then only we can decide the value of supply, then only we can decide the type of supply, then only we can decide the rate which is applicable in that particular case. Then only we can decide the composite supply and mixed supply. So this bifurcation is very, very important. I hope that you all are getting the points and you all are getting the purpose, the crux of these sections. Now, one very important thing is there, sir, composite supply. Composite supply means two or more supplies. So in that composite supply, they have covered the works contract services and the restaurant services. Because in case of works contract services, there is an inclusion of the something goods plus certain amount of services. In case of restaurant, yes, food is also there and the services is also there. So this will be treated as my composite supply. Now, important thing, just I am giving you a very important example from the perspective of bifurcation, supply of goods or supply of services. Just look this example very carefully. Operating lease, financial lease. If you are a BCom graduate or GST practitioners or you are a chartered accountant, in that case, we have a very good amount of knowledge regarding this term, operating lease and financial lease. Operating lease is for a very limited amount of time, 5 years, 7 years, very short period of time. But financial lease is prox for whole economic life. So whenever there will be operating lease, that means for a limited amount of time, that will be treated as just right to use transfer. But whenever there will be a financial lease, that means transfer for approx whole economic life, that will be treated as title transfer. So accordingly, it will be treated as supply of goods, it will be treated as supply of services. That is what is the thing we need to keep in our mind. This is just an example that how we need to decide based on the nature of transaction or activity about the supply of goods and supply of services. When I'm taking the physical sessions or when I'm taking the sessions on this specific book as well, many participants are saying or many professionals are saying that, sir, we are only filing the returns. Then why there is requirement to know the provision of law? Sir, if you just want to do the cut, copy and paste and import and export, in that case, yes, you are doing perfectly. But if you want to file the return with concept on provision of law with practical implication so that you can save your client through the future litigations, in that case, yes, the knowledge of law is required. Now, supply, we have covered whenever there will be a goods or services, activities or transactions, yes, the same treated as supply. Vanita ji, you require example regarding supply of services or supply of goods bifurcation. So you can check if you bought any software and software has been installed in your system directly, it will be a supply of service only. If you receive any physical type of hard drive or DVD in which the same is installed and you are going to download it, then there is a question that whether it will be a supply of goods or services. We'll take it in our next class, the detailed example as well. That will be a very great for all of you. I think Vanita ji, the next example is also okay for you. Now, yes, they have given that we need to decide that this particular activity or transaction is a supply. And we have to decide that it is a supply or not. Then after we need to decide it will be a supply of goods or supply of services. Now, government is saying there are certain other activities or transactions which is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And if any transaction or activity which is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, that means no question of applicability of GST. So from that perspective, they have decided certain transactions. One, if there will be any service by the employee to employer, services by any court or tribunal, services by any person who is holding the post under the Constitution of India, Any person who performs a duty in the capacity of chairperson, member, director in any body established by central government, state government, local authority. High C sales, sale of land, actionable claim, sale of warehouse goods before home consumption, services of funeral and related activities, apportionment of co-insurance premium. So these are the activities or transactions which is covered in this schedule number 3. आपको याद रहेगा अभी हम लोगों ने डिस्कस किया था, वी हैव कवर्ड आवर शेड्यूल नंबर 1 is related to exception for the consideration part. Schedule number 2 talks about our supply of goods or supply of services, and this is our schedule number 3 which talks about neither supply of goods nor supply of services. That means if these type of activities are there, in that case there will be no question of applicability of GST because the same is not treated as a supply. Now, sir, if government is saying that this particular supply of goods is a supply of services, you have to agree with that. So government have a power that decide that this is a supply of goods or this is a supply of services, and the decision of the government will be final. So this is the section number 7, which is very, very, very important from the applicability of GST perspective. Sir, the complete concept is okay for everyone? I request those who are watching through the YouTube, they may comment in the chat box, not an issue. Now, next, sir, you have given the idea that this is a supply. Now, suppose if a single supply, then the same will be, if the same will be a sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, agreed to be disposal, will treat it as supply and will implement the GST and will pay the same to the government. Suppose if there will be a 2 or more supplies, then what will happen? So the same question was there in front of government. So government has given section number 8, and through that section number 8, they have specified that if 2 or more supplies are there, in that case there may be 2 probable scenarios. One, the same will be a composite supply, another the same will be a mixed supply. Sir, what do you mean by this composite and mixed supply? So in a simplified language, government said that एक तो हो गया naturally 2 or more supplies, एक हो गया जबरदस्ती आपने बनाया है. So if there will be a 2 or more supply which is naturally bundled, the same will be treated as composite supply. If 2 or more supplies which is not naturally bundled, the same will be treated as mixed supply. And when the same is not naturally bundled, in that case highest rate of GST will be applicable. In case of naturally bundled, whatever will be the principal component, the GST rate will be applicable as per the principal product. Now, there may be one question in your mind that, sir, why highest rate government has taken for mixed supply? Because if government is not going to take the highest rate in such a scenario to avail the benefit of a concessional rate, every product, every taxpayer is saying that it is a mixed supply, and the whatever will be the rate will charge, and whatever will be the less rate they will pay the GST accordingly, because they have not specified anything. For that purpose, they have clearly mentioned that whenever there will be a mixed supply, the highest rate of GST will be applicable, so that unnecessary कोई supplies का bifurcation नहीं करेगा और compounding नहीं. That is what is the purpose. I think now today you all have get this fact that why there is a mixed supply, why there is composite supply, and why in case of mixed supply they are charging the highest rate of GST. Because sir, whenever we learn anything with logics, in that case it will be there in our brain for a very longer amount of time. That is what is the purpose of this specific course. Composite supply, 2 or more supply, one will be the principal supply, another will be the ancillary supply. Rate of GST will be applicable as per the principal supply. Both are naturally bundled. Just for an example, air conditioner and the installation thereof, mobile and the charger thereof, these are the composite supply. Mixed supply, not in a composite supply, it will be treated as mixed supply. Highest rate of GST will be applicable. Sir, what do you mean by the naturally bundled? So for that purpose, government has specified that this naturally bundled is based on the market perception, the nature and the perception of the consumer. Because these are the three important factors, and this bifurcation as a composite and mixed supply is also based on these specific set. This is my section number 8. Section number 9, charging section. Sir, government has decided that yes, GST will be applicable to whole of India. These are the officers, these are the powers of that officer, and we are also going to authorize the officers, and also will decide that this is the particular activity or transaction which will be treated as supply, and the bifurcation that this is a supply of goods, this is a supply of services, this is a composite supply, this is a mixed supply. Now question is that what type of tax will be applicable? What will be the rate of GST which will be applicable? Whether the supplier is going to make the payment of tax or the recipient is going to make the payment of tax. These are the questions which was there in front of the government. And from that perspective, government has introduced this specific section, section number 9. And in this section, they covered that yes, CGST will be applicable on all intra-state supply. That means supply within the state. And if outside state, IGST will be applicable, will cover in case of our content related to IGST Act. So they have given the highest rate of GST, that is 20%. And also they clearly mention that the GST will be applicable on all type of intra-state supply except petroleum products. That will be taxable at a future date. So through this particular section, government has decided the complete charge of this GST. Government has also provided the list of goods or services on which GST will be payable under RCM. That means basically the supplier who is going to make the supply, that person is liable to pay the GST. And government has specified a particular list, and through that particular list, government said that in this scenario, the recipient will be liable to make the payment of taxes. And they have also decided that in case of e-commerce operator, tax liability will be in case of e-commerce operator. Sir, highest rate is 28%. That is CGST as GST included. In this particular example, in this particular section, they have only covered the CGST, and the highest rate of CGST is 20%. 20, that is 40%. But still government, the maximum rate which is there is 28%. But this is the capacity. I think now it is okay. Now, next point. Yes, GST will be applicable. Yes, powers are there, officers are there, transactional activities are there. Yes, this is the rate, intra-state supply, everything is there. Now, there is one concept in government mind that yes, we have decided the rate, highest rate is 20%, and the chargeability, everything we have decided. But there may be chances, there are certain small traders, small taxpayers. We should introduce something good for those type of small traders, small taxpayers, so that it will be a benefit to all of them. So from that perspective, government has introduced this specific scheme, that is composition scheme. And through that scheme, government said that yes, normally we are charging a normal rate of tax, but if a particular person is opting for the composition scheme, will charge a concessional rate of tax. And they have decided a specific turnover, that if your turnover is up to 1.5 crore rupees, in that case you can go for the concessional scheme. And if you are a service sector industry, in that case, if your turnover is up to 50 lakh rupees, you can go for the composition scheme. Otherwise, you will not be eligible for this scheme, because this scheme is specifically for the small dealers, small traders, small taxpayers. So this is a concessional scheme. Concessional rate per GST will be applicable. As you are paying the output at a concessional rate, you will not be eligible to claim a single rupee of input tax credit. In case of restaurant services, the rate of GST is applicable at the rate of 5%. No ITC allowed. May opt if turnover up to 1.5 CR. In case of services, the rate of GST will be 6%. And if a particular person is dealing in goods as well as services, in that case, if the services portion is 10% of turnover of 5 lakh rupees, whichever is higher, in that case, yes, you can go for the composition scheme. Otherwise, you will not be eligible for the composition scheme. So through this section number 10, they have introduced this concessional scheme for the small taxpayers. Now, sir, we'll discuss in case of restaurant, we'll discuss. Yes, this limit is not applicable. We'll discuss the restaurant in a specific way. Okay. This is just a normal. Yes, society can go for the composition scheme, but the condition is that the turnover should be up to 50 lakh rupees only. In that case, they can go for the composition scheme. Now, certain special points related to this composition scheme. Turnover calculation should not included exempted turnover. Okay. Same pen, multiple GST, and then if you have opted composition scheme for one pen, in that case, the same will be applicable for all the pens. No interstate supply. In case of composition scheme, you are not eligible to go for the interstate supply, not engaged in the e-commerce operator. So these are the very specific conditions to opting that composition scheme. Now, government has decided the activities, goods, the powers, the officers, everything. They've also given the two scheme, that is, you can go for the regular, you can go for the composition scheme. Now government is saying that, sir, there may be certain exemptions, certain products, certain services that should not be chargeable to GST due to the nature of that product or goods. So for that purpose, we have decide something. So for that purpose, government has decided a specific list. Government has decided a specific list, that is exemption. And through this particular exemption, section number 11, they clearly mention that yes, in case of exemption, no GST will be applicable, and government is going to decide a particular goods or services as an exempted goods or services, and no GST will be chargeable. So the same will be through the public interest, through the notification. And if there will be any confusion, in that case, the regarding notification may be issued. Now, section 11A, this is very specific. Suppose there is one specific product on which the rate of GST is applicable at the rate of 12%. Okay. But now, government know the general practice related to that particular product, and the rate should be lower side. In that case, yes, section number 11A is going to give the power to the government to reduce the rate of a specific product in certain specific circumstances as per journal practice. So exemption power is also there in section number 11, and the 11A is also there regarding the special rate or special rate reduction in comparison with the rate notification. So restaurant will definitely discuss. Yes, this limit is not applicable in case of restaurant. Okay. I just want to interlink with a very specific provision so that it will be very clear. Because whenever you are asking a particular question, I don't want to give the direct answer. I just want to link it with a specific provision so that it will be there in your brain. But I request, if you have any question, any query, any doubt, just put it in the chat box. I am very happy to see your comments in the chat box. Okay, Suresh sir. Exemption. Why government is coming with this exemption provision? Logic is okay. Now, the point is that yes, we have decided that this is a particular supply and GST will be applicable, and the person has an option to go for the composition scheme or can opt for the regular scheme, or there may be chances that government may exempt certain goods or services. Now, when I need to pay the GST to the government, or when I will be eligible to claim the input tax credit, or when I have to issue the invoice, that is what is the very important thing. Very important. So for that purpose, as we have to decide the time that when the GST will be applicable on the outward supply, or when a particular transaction will be treated as supply. Sir, we have decided if it is a sale, exchange, barter, transfer, lease, rental, disposal, it will be a supply. When the GST will be applicable, that is what is the question. Suppose the transaction has taken place on 14th of October. Now, whether the GST will be applicable on 14th of October, or we have to decide it with the reference of time of supply. So in that case, yes, we have decided with the reference of time of supply only. That is what is the thing we have to take care. So from that perspective, this time of supply is very, very important for all of us. Sir, no GST limit is applicable in case of restaurant, but I just want to link it with a specific provision. Yes, Mahendra sir, definitely will repeat. There are two specific sections you can check. Section 11, Section 11A. Section number 11 is saying that yes, government has power to exempt a particular goods or services in public interest through the notification. And for the clarity perspective, they may issue the clarification related to that matter. Now, suppose there is one specific product on which the rate of GST is applicable at the rate of 12%. But as per the general practice of the particular industry, as request received from the trade and associations, that's a yes, as per rate notification, the rate of GST is 12%. But as per our general practice and as per the mechanism, rate, rate should be lower than that 12%. So the government can reduce the rate. So yes, because section number 11A is giving the power that yes, rate higher as per the rate notification, but government may adjust as per the general practice. Because उस industry उस area को भी तो ध्यान में रखना पड़ेगा. That is what is the purpose. Okay, Mahendra sir. Now we have decided that this is a supply. Now question is that whether I have to pay, whether I have to pay GST on that transaction, or whether I have to report that particular transaction in my GSTR1, GSTR3 be written. So for that purpose, the time of supply is there. Now, time of supply, अभी हमने discuss किया, we have covered that whenever there will be a supply, there may be two bifurcation. One is supply of goods, another is supply of services. So I have to decide the time of supply in case of supply of goods, supply of services. Also, when I am saying that it is a supply of goods, then we have covered while covering the section number 9 that there may be a supply under forward charge, there may be a supply under reverse charge. Under forward charge, the supplier is going to make the payment of tax. Under reverse charge, the recipient is going to make the payment of tax. So we have to decide the time of supply in different scenarios. You can check supply of goods, supply of services. Under forward charge, the time of supply will be the invoice date. But in case of reverse charge, the time of supply will be receipt of goods, or debit entry in bank, or payment entry in books of accounts, or 30 days from invoice date. Whichever is earlier, that will be treated as my time of supply. So in case of reverse charge mechanism, when you want to pay the taxes under reverse charge mechanism, we just need to keep these points in our mind. In case of forward charge, in case of services, as we all know, if there will be any advance on account of services, yes, GST will be applicable on that service, on that advance amount which you have received due to advances. Hence, they have given the time of supply I or P, whichever is earlier. Invoice, if you have received prior to payment, yes, GST will be applicable. So invoice or payment, whichever is earlier, GST will be applicable accordingly. In case of reverse charge mechanism services, the time of supply will be bank debit entry or payment in books or 60 days from invoice date, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as my time of supply. So this provision is very, very important, that when you have to report a transaction in your GST return and when you are liable to make the payment to the government, this is a very important, because your client is only maintaining the data in Tally or accounting software and he is sending the data to you. Now the point is that how we are going to file the return, and these are the very important thing. Okay, very soon, for your information, sir, very soon we are coming with a free workshop for all of you based on the provision of law, how we can check while filing the returns. So we have a hands-on in front of you. I will file the return with the data and will provide you the idea that how you can check the time of supply, place of supply, value of supply very easily. That is also going to be happen in very near future. Okay, our next session will be on that only. Now, time of supply, normal situation we have decided. Now question is that, sir, suppose if the supplier has made the supply of the product to the buyer but not issued the invoice and not received the payment, but after supply, suppose the government has changed the rate. In that case, whether the old rate will be applicable or new rate will be applicable, most important and most crucial thing. Because if you have decided the wrong rate, in such a scenario there may be two probabilities. One, you are paying an excess amount of tax or you are paying a less amount of tax. Excess, loss to your taxpayer; less, loss to the government. Then they will issue the notice. So we have to decide the time of supply, and in case of change in rate of tax, suppose supply made before change, you have already made the supply but you have not received the payment or invoice. In that case, what will be the time of supply? Suppose invoice or payment both are after the change in rate of tax. In that case, your time of supply will be I or P, whichever is earlier, as you have already made the supply before the change in rate of tax, but invoice or payment both are after the change in rate of tax. In such a scenario, your new rate of GST will be applicable. A very important thing which we need to keep in our mind. Invoice prior, payment after. You have already received the invoice. In that case, your invoice date will be treated as time of supply. Payment prior, invoice after, your payment date will be treated as time of supply. Because you have already made the supply, hence government is saying whatever will be the maximum possible benefit will provide you. Okay. Now, supply made after change in rate of tax. Invoice or payment both prior to change. In such a scenario, I or P, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as my time of supply. Invoice prior, payment after. In that case, your payment date will be time of supply. Payment prior, invoice after, your invoice date will be time of supply, because you have made the supply after change in rate of tax. In that case, government is saying that will charge the tax at a new rate. So, sir, through this particular chart, I think you get the concept, the importance of the time of supply. Sir, the PDF file of this book is not possible because this is my physical book, printed book, Simplified GST, the memory chart guide. Okay. In that book, we have covered the complete CGST law, IGST law, the drafting techniques, the notice handling techniques, the litigation handling techniques, and the various things we have covered. So, the PDF file is not at all possible. This is a physical copy. Okay. Now, sir, so the point is that, yes, we'll discuss later on. Just now, just focus on the provision. Okay. Now, the important thing is that we have decided, yes, this is my supply. This is the officers who are going to check the genuineness or verify the things. Okay. And these are the officers who are going to check the things and powers, authorization, supply of goods, supply of services, then time of supply. Now question is that on which value we have to make the payment of GST, that is valuation. And for that purpose, they have given this specific section, section number 15, and this section is saying about the valuation. And in this particular section, they said that suppose if two-person A and B, they are making a particular supply of a particular product, and A and B both are not the related parties, and price is the sole consideration. In that case, the transaction value will be treated as value of supply. Just as our important example, as we are taking always, that suppose I have visited the Reliance Mall and I have bought one mobile phone from the digital Reliance Digital for 25,000 rupees. In that case, I am Mukesh Ambani, not the related party. And price is the sole consideration. The amount which I am paying, that is 25,000, is the final amount. That means that 25,000 will be treated as transaction value because both are not the related party and price is the sole consideration. So in that case, your transaction value will be treated as taxable value, and for that supply, if there will be any incidental expenditure, in that case, the same will be the part of that value. And if any expenditure which has been beared by the recipient on behalf of the supplier, in that case also the same will be the part of value. Special situation, sir, आपने बोला if the buyer and supplier are not the related party and price is the sole consideration. Now suppose if buyer and supplier are the related party and price is not sole consideration, in that case whether the valuation will be decided as per section number 15? No. In that case, you have to take the reference of various valuation rules. Rule number 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. These are the very specific rules. Ravi sir, this book is completely based on sections only. We have not covered the rules. Very soon, most probably in April month, our new book will be launched on rules. Okay, this book will be completely separate. For the act, second book will be on the rules. But whenever you will receive that, whenever we launch our rules related book, we'll completely link it with the sections. Now, there is one important concept which is there related to discount. Sir, whether the discount will be issued the credit note related to GST or not, whether we have to consider that discount or not. So for that purpose, just keep one thing in your mind. If the discount has been recorded before or at the time of supply, in that case, the credit note will be issued with effect of GST. That means you can reduce your outward supply. You can reduce your outward supply. But if after the supply, has already terms has already been decided, terms has already been decided, in such a scenario, credit note has been issued with GST. But if terms has not been decided, in such a scenario, financial credit note issued, that means in that case supplier will not be eligible to reduce the GST amount, can reduce the taxable value but cannot reduce the GST amount. Conclusively, if the discount has been recorded or the terms related to discount has been decided at the time of supply, yes, GST related credit note can be issued. But if the terms related to discount has not been decided before supply, in such a scenario, financial credit note should be issued, and financial credit note is your without GST effect. Sir, we know, sir, GST will be charged after discount. Suppose your taxable value is 20,000 rupees. You have given in a discount of 2,000. In that case, GST will be charged on 18,000 only. But suppose if the terms has been decided after your discount, in such a scenario, GST will be paid on this 20,000 rupees. 2,000 rupees you have to issue the financial credit note. Abhay sir, this is a book. This is just a part of book Simplified GST. Now, next section, very important section, that is input tax credit. But before moving to next section, I just want to take a break for 5 minutes. Can I take a break for 5 minutes? But before going for the break, I have one important information for all of you. So first confirm me once, can I take a break for 5 minutes? Now, one important thing which I want to discuss with you, that is just a suggestion from my side. Okay, sir, from 9th of March, we are starting a specific course. Sir, first of all, not any type of advertisement. This is the information because course is free. Okay. Now, there is one important problem with the many tax professionals, with the many GST practitioners. Sir, we know the provisions or we are only filing the returns, but we have no idea about the practical implication of the law. We have no idea about the linkage of the section and rules, and we are not able to link the provision of law while filing the returns. So from that perspective, we are coming with a live course, 45 days live course, in which we'll cover each and every section, each and every rules of the GST law with practical implication, with practical effect, and the complete session like a TV series, like a Netflix series, with a lot of examples, with a lot of creatives, with a lot of industry specific things. With that, we'll cover around 250 recent landmarking judgments so that whatever will be the GST related knowledge you have taken, you can easily develop your analytical skills so that you can easily handle the litigations before any authority. And also will cover around 250 practical problems. Sir, law, okay. Case studies, okay. Analytics developed. Now point is that how I can solve the practical queries of my client. So for that purpose, we will take the 250 practical queries which you are facing in your day-to-day life. This course is a 45 days course. Timing will be 8 to 9 p.m. You will also get the recordings if you missed any class. Now, with this course, we are providing 3 sets of books. We have already registered a lot of participants. Now, point is that certain professionals are saying that, sir, we don't want the books. Okay, don't take the books. You can join this course very freely, but you just need to register for this course. And as we all know, that if we'll provide you something for free, ज्वाइन फॉर 1 डे 2 डे 3 डे देन सोचोगे यार फ्री ही तो है कल ज्वाइन कर लूंगा परसों ज्वाइन कर लूंगा आई विल ज्वाइन इन नेक्स्ट सेशन मिसिंग हो जाएगा फॉर दैट पर्पस वी हैव जस्ट डिसाइडेड अ प्राइस ऑफ 200 rupees फॉर ऑल 45 days. These 200 rupees is just administration charges, okay, just for your presence, so that you will think that yes, I have invested 200 rupees, so I just need to join this course. And this is my promise to you: if you will join it for 1 day only, you will automatically join for second day, third day, fourth day, till the last day, that is 45th day. You will automatically join it. After joining this course, your knowledge of GST will be on a next level. This is my assurance to you. So if anyone wants to register for this course just for 200 rupees, and these are just administration charges, after joining this course, after joining 5 days, 10 days, you said that, sir, I am not satisfied with the content, just text once that, sir, I am not satisfied, will refund you the 200 rupees, because we are charging that 200 just for your presence. This is not any type of fit, okay? Because 200 by 45 days, this is just our CSR activity, because the actual price of this course is around 15,000 rupees. So if anyone wants to register for this course, because for free, we have a very limited amount of seats. So if anyone wants to register for this course, just scan this QR code, make the payment of 200 rupees, and I'm sharing one Google form with all of you. So you just need to fill that Google form. And for your professional knowledge, I am requesting everyone, if it is possible for you to invest just 200 rupees, then invest it for your knowledge. Just invest it for your knowledge, because 200 rupees, we are just charging for your presence. Yes, there is a break for 5 minutes. And if you want to make the payment, you can make 7 7. We'll meet sharp at, we'll meet sharp at 7:15. We'll meet sharp at 7:15. So I just request everyone be there. We have a lot of very interesting sections we'll cover in a very interesting way. So be there, and if you want to enroll, then scanner is there. You can pay just 200 rupees for your registration confirmation to this course. Thank you. Sharp 7:15 we'll start our discussion. Don't leave the session, because a lot of very interesting sections are there. Thank you. Class will start from 9th of March, 8 to 9 p.m. Google form already shared. Just check your, if you have any query, you can connect on this number. You can message on this. Yes. Actually, the delay in course because the course was scheduled for 3rd of March only. We have delayed the course due to the delivery of books only. There were certain issues with our courier agent, so we have dispatched the books. Okay, on 28th of Feb. So you all will receive, those who have purchased this book with purchased this course with books, they will receive the books by 7th or 8th of March. Hence, we are starting the course from 9th of March. Okay, so definitely you all will receive the books before commencement of the course, and also by tomorrow you all will receive the tracking codes as well. Okay, the tracking code of the delivery you will also receive by tomorrow. So stay assured, books has already been dispatched, you will receive it very soon. Those who have registered for today with 200 rupees, no books is there. If you will pay 3,400 for the 3 set of books, with this course will provide 3 set of books. One is based on law, another is based on case studies, third one is based on practical queries. So the dispatch will be on tomorrow. Okay, so also those who will place the order, they will also get receive the books by 9th or 10th of March. So I request everyone, if it is possible for you to invest 200 rupees just to watch that it was for 4 to 5 days, and then after we may go for the books, or we don't want books, we don't just want to lecture, then just make this investment. This is my guarantee to you. This 200 rupees investment will give you the knowledge of more than 2 crore. This is my guarantee to you, because this will be completely in a different way. No, Ravi sir, no need to pay. Please, I request, don't pay any amount. I request to you. Now, yes, Sunday is holiday. We have an introductory session on this Sunday. Okay, from Monday we have a regular class, and on this Sunday we have the introductory session. How we are going to continue our journey for 45 days. What will be the pattern? What will be the content? Everything will cover on this Sunday. That will be our introductory session, and then after we have the regular sessions. If anyone wants to make the payment with books in such a scenario, sir, you just need to do one thing. Your QR code will be different. If anyone wants to make the payment with books, then just scan this QR code 3,400. You have to pay, and you will receive the 3 set of books. Okay, these books, and this 3,400 is just the cost of the books. Actual book is 4,000 rupees, but will provide 3,400. No, Mahendra sir, this is a separate books. Simplify GST. This will not cover that. And if anyone has paid 200 and want to join the complete course, just make the payment of 3,200 rupees. Okay, just less the 200 rupees, and you can make the 1,200 payment. So you may connect with me on this particular WhatsApp number. My team member will connect with you definitely. If you just want to check the same, sir, for class details, just join our Sunday session. Okay, introductory session, everything will be there. But just this is my assurance to you, nothing will remain from the GST perspective. Each and everything will cover in that particular course. Okay. Now, this is the mobile number I am sharing. Just connect on this number on WhatsApp. Okay. Now we'll start our discussion on our today's course. Otherwise, there may be certain issue. So morning is not possible, you can go through with the recordings. Or if anyone wants to buy this book, that is completely chart based colorful book, Simplify GST Memory Chart Guide, then the price is 1499. If anyone wants to buy this book, Simplify GST the Memory Chart Guys, then the price is 1499. You can pay on this scanner itself, 1499. And if you are paying for the book, in that case, definitely you should fill this Google form. One separate Google form is there for the book, because we'll dispatch the books, so we require the postal address. So let's start our discussion. If anyone wants to make the payment, just scan it. Section number 16, that is input tax credit. Because, sir, whatever type of books or courses I'm telling you, these are just at cost only. Why we are doing this is the CSR activity, because we want to promote the knowledge of GST. So this is just a part of knowledge. Okay, thank you. Let's start our discussion. connect on the WhatsApp number. My team member will guide you, because in these books we have covered everything. Okay. Now, section number 16, input tax credit. Now, as we all know, this section number 16 is the heart of GST, because this section is saying that if you want to claim the input tax credit, then the point is that the particular goods or services you should use in the course or furtherance of business. Okay. So the first condition is that if you want to claim the input tax credit, there is requirement that you should use it in the course or furtherance of business. Then there are a lot of various conditions are also there. One is invoice, debit note, bill of entry should be there. GSTR 2B should be there. That means the input should be reflected in GSTR 2B. Also, there is condition that the receipt of the goods or services, without receipt of goods or services, you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Tax paid by supplier or return filed. So these are the 5 very important conditions which should be fulfilled for claiming the input tax credit. That means if you want to claim the input tax credit, first condition, inward supply used in the course or furtherance of business. Then you need to satisfy all the conditions, that you should have the invoice, GSTR 2B, the receipt of goods, tax paid by supplier, return filed. Now, if you are receiving the goods in lots, in such a scenario, you will be eligible to claim the ITC at the time of receipt of last lot. That means without receipt of goods, you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. When you will receive the last lot, at that time only, you will be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Next, if the taxpayer will make the payment after 180 days, in such a scenario, on 181th day, you have to reverse the tax credit with applicable interest. That means there is requirement to make the payment to the creditors within 180 days. Otherwise, you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. This is also a very important thing which we need to keep in our mind from the input tax credit eligibility perspective. In case of capital goods, taxable value. Yes, if you are claiming the depreciation on the taxable value, you can claim the input tax credit. But if you are claiming the depreciation on the invoice value, that is taxable value plus IGST, CGST, SGST, in that case, you will not be eligible for the input tax credit because you have claimed the depreciation on the invoice. This is also very important thing which we need to keep in our mind from the perspective of ITC in case of capital goods. Last date to claim the ITC for the relevant financial year. By which date I can claim the input tax credit? So for that purpose, they have given the timeline in section 16, subsection 4, and through this particular section, they have mentioned 30th November of the subsequent financial year or annual return filing date, whichever is earlier. 30th November of subsequent financial year or annual return filing date, whichever is earlier, that will be treated as my time of that is time to claim the input tax credit. So these sections are very important. So you all are enjoying these charts, you all are getting the points. Now हमने डिस्कस कर ली, if you are using any inward supply in the course or furtherance of business, yes, ITC is there, you just need to fulfill these conditions. Now government is saying that sorry, yes, you can claim the tax credit, but we also need to impose certain restrictions that in this scenario you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Because हमेशा अगर हम देते रहेंगे input tax credit, in such a scenario there should be introduction of restrictions are also required. So for that purpose, government said that if you will use that inward supply which you have bought from the market for your personal purpose, ITC not allowed. If you will use that inward supply for your exempted supply, suppose your outward supply is exempted, for manufacturing of that outward exempted supply, you need to buy certain inward supply from the market on which the tax has already been charged. Now on your outward supply, you are not paying a GST. So you will not be eligible to claim the tax credit because you are not paying the outward supply. Now, suppose a particular person is using certain outward supply for business as well as for personal purpose. In that case, partial ITC is allowed. For that purpose, we have a specific rule number 42, 43. If you are using any goods for taxable as well as exempted, in that case also the partial ITCL. So this section number 70 talks about the restrictions of input tax credit. Next, there is one specific option is also available. कहीं कहीं पे किसी किसी section में based on the nature of industry, based on the nature of department, government has decided certain specific provisions from the applicability of GST. So for banking company, they have given two specific options. One is in case of banking company, whatever will be your outward supply, pay GST, use the input tax credit, but you have to follow all the rules 17.5, 42, 43. Now, as we all know that in case of banking industry, they are receiving the outward supply as interest. There may be certain financial interest. So maximum supply is a exempted supply, you can say. The maximum outward supply is related to exempted supply. For inward supply, if they will claim the input tax credit normally, then yeah, then they have to calculate the rule number 42 from the perspective of exempted as well as taxable, personal purpose, business purpose. 43 also they have to take care. So government has introduced one specific mechanism for the banking company and said that whatever will be your ITC, just claim 50% of the input tax credit. Just claim 50% of the input tax credit. Okay, just claim 50% of the input tax credit, and there is no requirement to reverse anything from rule number 42, 43 perspective. So that is what is the thing we need to keep in our mind. Yes, in case of exempted, we have to claim and then we have to reverse the input tax credit. Okay. So for banking company, they have given the option that you can go for the normal mechanism. In that case, you have to follow rule 42, 43, and you can also go for the optional scheme in which you just need to claim 50% of your input tax credit and no requirement to make any adjustment from the perspective of 42, 43. So this specific provision is to give the relief certain specific industry. Now, government has also provided one specific list, and through this list, government is saying if you will bought any type of these goods, then you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit for these goods because these goods and services are blocked. The input tax credit on these goods and services is blocked. Now, first thing they have mentioned, that is motor vehicle. If anyone is buying any motor vehicle, vessel, aircraft, ITC not allowed. But if that purchase is for the training purpose, for the further supply purpose, for the passenger transportation purpose, yes, ITC allowed. In case of food and beverages, in case of beauty treatment, in case of membership of health club, fitness center, ITC not allowed because the same is blocked. In case of works contract services, ITC not allowed. Suppose you are constructing one building, in that case also ITC not allowed because the same is blocked. In case of composition dealer, you are paying tax at a concessional rate, so the ITC is also blocked. Received by any non-resident taxable person or for personal purpose, or if any goods lost, stolen, destroyed, in that case also you will not be eligible to claim the input tax credit. Because just try to understand the logic. In case of lost, stolen, destroyed, sir, point is that in case of lost, destroyed, stolen, you are not paying the output tax because goods has already been lost. So you are not supposed to pay any taxes to the government. So when you are not paying the output tax, how you can avail the benefit of input tax credit? Hence government is saying that you have to reverse the input tax credit. In case of loss of business, try to understand if this is a normal loss. In that case, yes, ITC allowed. If it is an abnormal loss, ITC not allowed. Suppose you have inserted 100 units for manufacturing to a machinery. Okay, output is output is as per the normal process, output is 80. Suppose 20 is your normal loss. In that case, ITC is allowed for all 100 units. But suppose this 20 is your normal loss, but there is further 20 due to certain machinery failure. That will be called as abnormal loss. For your abnormal loss, you will not receive the benefit of input tax credit. I think your query is okay. Yes, sir, Vinod, sir. Now, this section talks about the reversal of input tax credit and input tax credit. Now, there is one question that, sir, when I am taking the GST registration, suppose my turnover crosses the specific limit. Suppose my turnover crosses the specific limit as on 20th of May. And I had applied for the GST registration by 5th of June. I had applied for the GST registration on 5th of June. In such a scenario, the point and the perspective is that I had applied for the GST registration. My turnover crosses the limit as on 20th of May. Before 20th of May, yes, I have bought certain goods from the market and my supplier has already charged GST on that. But I have not claimed the input tax credit because I was not registered at GST. But now, as on the date of liability, when I am taking the GST registration, whatever will be the input goods which is available, I should be eligible to claim the input tax credit because I will pay the output tax to the government. So from that perspective, government has introduced this specific section, section number 18. And in this particular section, government said that yes, Mr. Sachin, if you will take the GST registration within 30 days from the date of liability, in that case, as on the date of liability, whatever will be the input goods which is there in your stock, yes, you will be eligible to claim the tax credit on that particular goods. But if you will take the GST registration after 30 days, in that case, the date of grant of registration, as on that date, whatever will be the input goods which is there with you, you will be eligible to claim the tax credit, and you have to file one form, ITC 01 form. Suppose in case of any person who is registered as a composition scheme, then transferring to as a regular scheme, or any person the goods is exempted, but now the same is converted into taxable. So just try to understand the point, just try to understand the crux. Just try to understand the crux. Sir, one particular person who was a composition dealer, then converted into regular. So during that particular term, when the person was registered as a composition dealer, that person has not claimed the input tax credit, but that person was buying the goods from the market and the supplier is charging the GST. So whatever will be the input goods which is there in the stock as on the date of liability to convert from composition to regular, that person should be eligible to claim the input tax credit, because now on that goods which is there in the inventory, the GST will be applicable after conversion. So when the person is paying the output tax, that person should be eligible to claim the input tax credit as well. Now, one important question is there. Yes, suppose you have already bought the goods when the taxpayer was not registered. Okay, so yes, the definitely was not the goods was not there in 2B. Hence, you have to file the ITC 01 form, and in that ITC 01 form, you are providing the complete invoice-wise details that this is the inventory with me, and I am claiming the input tax credit. Is that okay, Vinod sir? iPhone. Electrical contract, and if you are providing the services as a electronical contract, in that case, yes, you will be eligible to claim the input tax credit, not an issue. But if any industry is going to take the services of works contract related to electronic products, okay, and the same is used in the internal fitting, in that case, yes, no ITC allowed. Yes, in case of ITC 01, you are claiming the input tax credit based on the invoices which is there in inventory in your hand for the previous period for which you are not registered under GST. In that case, you have to file one form ITC 01. You can check on GST and Common Portal. And in our GST comprehensive course, we'll cover the complete practical filing. So I think if you have joined, then you will get the complete filing at that time as well. Sir Mahendraji, then we need to check the quantum of rental receipts. If the quantum of rental receipt is up to 10% of the total or 5 lakh rupees, whichever is higher, in that case, yes, the rate of GST will be at a concessional rate. But if the quantum is more than 5 lakh rupees, in that case, not eligible. In case of amalgamation, merger, demerger, suppose there were two industries X and Y. Now they are supposed to incorporate one specific industry, that is A. In that case, the input tax credit which was there with X and Y should be transferred to A. So for that purpose, also there is requirement of filing the form ITC 02. This is also a concept which is there in section number 18. Now, sir, government is saying that you are, yes, making the supply, you have decided the time of supply, yes, you have decided the value of supply, officers, सब कुछ हमने decide कर लिया. Now point is that there may be chances that the business owner is not going to handle the complete things. That business owner is going to transfer certain works to others, that is the job worker. So what will be the mechanism? 30 days, within 30 days ITC 0102 should be filed. Principal and job worker, and they clearly mentioned that if the principal is going to transfer any goods to the place of job worker for the purpose of job work, then the goods should be bring back within 1 year, and if the same is not received, then it will be treated as supply. So whenever you are analyzing the financial statement, you just need to be very much careful from this specific perspective, that if there will be a transfer by principal to job worker and the goods has not been received in 1 year, in that case the same will be treated as supply and accordingly GST will be applicable. Second, in case of capital goods, if the principal has provided any capital goods to the job worker, in that case the same should be bring back within 3 years, otherwise the same will be treated as supply. So this concept is also very very important, which we need to keep in our mind. Now, suppose there is one head office, and head office is going to take certain services on behalf of multiple branches. In that case, as we all know that this GST is a consumption based tax, am I right? Those who will consume that service, that person will be eligible to claim the input tax credit, and that person has to pay the GST as well. Now, the point is that in case of input service distributor, just try to understand the concept, that head office has taken certain services in big corporates. This is the mechanism they are following. In case of head office is going to take the services on behalf of complete industry, and there are multiple branches, and the amount has been paid by the head office, in that case the supplier of service is going to provide the invoice with the name of head office. Now that head office has to transfer the input tax credit because head office has taken the services on behalf of the industry. So for that purpose, for transfer of input tax credit, that head office has to register as a input service distributor. Now, point is that, sir, after taking the registration as input service distributor, there is requirement to file one specific return, and through that return, the input service distributor is going to distribute the input tax credit to various branches based on the turnover. Ratio will be turnover. That is what is my input service distributor, you can say. Okay. Now, sir, we have our started our discussion that the GST will be applicable to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. There are requirement of officers to handle the compliances. Yes, there are powers of the officers and the authorization we have covered. We have also covered that when the GST will be applicable, what will be the rate of GST, what will be the time of supply, what will be the value of supply, what will be the eligibility of input tax credit, whether there will be a restrictions regarding the input tax credit or not, what will be the input tax credit in certain special circumstances, that is the registration. Now, so all these things will happen only after taking the registration on GST and common portal. Hence, government has designed or given certain specific sections related to registrations under GST. And through this section number 22, government has specified person liable for the registration, and government specify that if the turnover crosses the specific limit, registration is required. And in case of transfer of business, the new entity which is going to incorporate, that entity has to file that registration. If there will be a delay in filing the ITC 01, first thing, late fees will be count. Second thing, there will be a question regarding the eligibility of tax credit. Then after, you need to go for the litigation and multiple disputes will also be there. Now, government has also specified that in certain situations there is no requirement to take the GST registration, and under that segment they have clarified that if a particular person who has exclusively engaged in the exempted goods, in that case no need to take the GST registration. And if a particular person who is an agriculturalist, in that case also there is no requirement to take the GST registration. In case of agriculturalist, yes, no need to take the GST registration, or in case of exempted goods, no need to take the GST registration. Now, after providing the details that yes, you do not need to take the GST registration, they have also provided that these are the certain scenarios in which you have to take the GST registration. That means आपको registration लेना ही पड़ेगा. For that purpose, they have also decided the circumstances, and they said that if a particular person who is involved in the interstate supply, yes, registration required. If a person who is paying the tax under reverse charge mechanism, registration is required. If a TDS deduction, yes, registration is required. In case of input service distributor, whatever will be your turnover, you have to take the GST registration. In case of e-commerce operator, in case of casual taxable person, in case of non-resident taxable person, in case of agent, in case of TCS collector, in case of online information data access and retrieval services, yes, registration is required, whatever will be your turnover. So this section number 24 is also very relevant for all of us, because through this particular section, we can easily identify that whether the GST registration is required or not. Now, sir, आपने बोल दिया, yes, we have to take the GST registration if the limit has crosses, or there is requirement to mandatorily take the GST registration, or no requirement to take the GST registration. Now, question is that what will be the process of registration? So they specify that you have to apply on the GST and common portal within 30 days from the date of liability. Or if you are taking the registration as a non-resident taxable person and casual taxable person. Casual taxable person means a person who is going to take the GST registration for a limited amount of time. And non-resident taxable person means a person who is from outside India, and that person is going to handle the business for a limited amount of time in India. Then that person is to take the GST registration as non-resident taxable person. So when they are applying for the GST registration, they have to apply 5 days prior to the commencement of business. Section number 27 is specifying the casual taxable person and non-resident taxable person, and they clarify that the casual taxable person, non-resident taxable person who is take the GST registration, the registration will be valid for 90 days and the same can be extended for further 90 days. advance deposit of estimated tax. They also have to deposit the amount before commencement of the business as a non-resident taxable person, as a casual taxable person, because we are not in situation to believe on them. Hence, government is saying that you have to deposit the tax in advance, and they can also take the refund in future. Suppose they have taken the GST registration for 90 days, they have deposited amount of 5 lakh rupees. For all 90 days, the tax liability is 4 lakh 50,000 rupees. So they can also claim the refund. Sir, Mahendra sir, regarding interstate supply, we have one specific circular. We'll discuss that as well. Next, sir, we have taken the GST registration now. Possibilities there is any change in the principal place of business, there is any change in the additional place of business, there is any change in the director, there is any change in the promoter, then we can file the amendment on portal or not. So yes, you can file the amendment application on GST and common portal. Departmental authority may approve or reject your application, but before rejection they will provide you one show cause notice, that is the opportunity of being heard. Section number 29. Sir, I have taken the GST registration. Whether departmental authority can cancel my GST registration? Yes, definitely. So, departmental authority has power to cancel the registration prospective basis or retrospective basis. Prospective basis or retrospective basis. In normal situation, they may cancel the registration in case of discontinuation of business, change in constitution, or the person who is not liable for the GST registration. But in case of retrospective basis, if there will be any contravention of the provision of law, no business commencement within 6 months, no return filed, or the registration has been taken as a fraud, willful misstatement, suppression of fact, in that case, the registration can be cancelled on retrospective basis. But before cancellation, they will provide you the opportunity of being heard. Without opportunity, they are not supposed to cancel the registration. That is what is a very important thing. If your registration is going to cancel, whatever will be the input goods which is there in your stock, you have to reverse the input tax credit as well. Section number 30, revocation of registration. So departmental authority has cancelled my registration. Can I revoke my registration? Yes, definitely. You have to file one application before the authority for the revocation of registration, and they will also provide you an opportunity of being heard before rejection of the application. Okay. So, sir, in this particular session, we have started our discussion from the section number 1. And in that section, we have covered that the GST law will be applicable to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Also, no, sir. Then after you have to go for the appeal, and appeal is also time bound, but you have to once file the appeal so that your matter will be heard on the priority basis, and you can go for that. But revocation is not applicable in that case. Okay. Now, then we have covered the section number 3, that is the officers under GST. We have also covered the powers of the officers. We have also covered the important point, that is authorization of the proceedings. We have also covered the term supply. We have covered the mixed and composite supply. The specific thing we have covered, that is charging section. Also, we have covered the composition scheme. We have also covered the exemption and the time of supply, the value of supply, the tax credit, the credit in special circumstances, the restrictions on the input tax credit, the input service distributor, and also we have covered the particulars related to registration, registration cancellation, revocation of registration, manner of the registration, mandatory registration, or not required to take the GST registration. We have covered total 30 section in our today's session. Okay. Now, tomorrow most probably we have planned for the session in the morning, but we'll reschedule this session to afternoon. Okay, 4 to 6 p.m. That is what is the schedule of our tomorrow's session. Okay, I think tomorrow we will not be in situation to complete all the sections. Okay, so we'll extend the session for one more day. Okay, we'll extend the session for one more day. So most probably the session will be on 8th. Okay, on 6th or 7th, I am not available. So the session will be on 8th most probably. But tomorrow we have a session from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I request everyone, please join. You will receive the registration link as well. Whatever will be your queries, I am taking. No, you can go for the revocation or revocation application. You are not, suppose in that case, you can file one appeal before the appellant authority. Yes, you will get the recordings. Recording will be shared after this session. Okay, you will get the recording because the same is live on YouTube. So you can check our YouTube channel as well. Consult with Tuk. The live is there, and you can also get the recordings as well. Now, sir, if anyone wants to buy this Simplify GST, if anyone wants to buy this book Simplify GST, this is a completely a colorful book in which we have covered the complete GST law, CGST, IGST, the drafting techniques, the litigation handling techniques, the notice handling techniques. Then you can buy this book. Actual price is 2000 rupees, but if you want to buy now, in that case, you will get this book for 1499. Okay. So anyone wants to buy, then you can buy. This is a very simplified book in a very simplified language. Also, I request tomorrow join sharp at 4 p.m. If anyone wants to buy, then just make the payment of 1499 on this QR code. And also, sir, whatever will be your feedback for our today's session, I request everyone, please provide your comments in the chat box because your feedback plays a very important role for me. So I request everyone, whatever will be your feedback, you can comment about the session right now. Tomorrow we'll meet sharp at 4 to 6 p.m. All the 30 sections are okay for everyone. Thank you, Venu sir. Thank you everyone for your comments and feedbacks. And sorry, in my classes, I have shared something about the course and about the things. The purpose, sir, basically the purpose is to provide you the complete details about the GST law, and really that GST comprehensive course is my dream project. I am always saying, so I will make this session to a next height. And all these books which we are providing you, all these books are at cost only, really. So thank you everyone. Thank you for joining with us. And if anyone wants to buy this book, really, this will be a great book, great help for all of you. You can easily carry this book. This is just in a diary size, and this is a colorful book, so you can easily check that book in a very interesting way. So if anyone wants to buy, then I have already shared the QR code. You can make the payment through the QR code. Okay? So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for listening. We'll meet tomorrow sharp at 4 p.m. Okay. And I request everyone, please join. And also, sir, GST comprehensive course, please join for 200 rupees. It will be a great help for all of you. So thank you, everyone. Thank you joining. Thank you listening with us. We'll meet tomorrow sharp at 4 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your feedbacks. Thank you for your time. We'll plan the schedule. Mahendra sir will plan the schedule for we'll plan the schedule for 8. Okay, not an issue. The price of the book is 1499. Price of the book is 1499 only. If anyone is making the payment, then I request just fill the QR code as well. So thank you once again for joining. Thank you for listening.